There are voices that never stop calling, and some signals were never meant to be heard. Somewhere along the edge of the Blue Ridge Mountains, where fog clings to the trees like breath on cold glass, there's a town most maps forgot. Hollow Creek. Population? Less than 200 on paper, but the locals say that number's been wrong for decades. They say some folks never left. This is Harper Lane, 38. Former city girl, now host of Night Signal Radio, a late-night talk segment that runs from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. Just her, a coffee-stained mic, and a broadcast tower older than her regrets. She moved to Hollow Creek to escape. From what? She doesn't say. Not on air, but silence, she thought, would be healing. She was wrong. Harper. All right, we're back, Hollow Creek. This is Night Signal, and I'm your host, Harper. Lines are open, folks. What's keeping you up tonight? Caller 12 was a woman who dreamt of a river. Caller 14 couldn't sleep because his dog kept staring at the attic. And then, hello, Harper. Harper, you're live. What's your name? Caller, you know me. Harper, I don't think I do. Caller, you do. I'm 23. Harper froze. She hadn't given the call number for the night yet. No one knew they were up to 22. The voice was strange, like a whisper wrapped in static. But something about it felt close. Caller, do you remember when you were 6? You had a red coat. You lost it in the woods near Briar Hollow. You cried for 3 hours, but you didn't cry because of the coat, did you? Harper, how do you know that? Caller, because I was there. You left me there, Harper. You ran. She ended the call, heart pounding. There was no record of the number, no caller ID, nothing logged. She didn't mention it on air. She couldn't, because the memory was real. Caller 23 phoned again. Same voice, same cold calm. This time, he described a room Harper remembered from her childhood, one that wasn't in any photo or house she ever talked about, the one in the old foster home, where the walls bled water stains, and a boy she once knew used to whisper to the shadows. Caller, you forgot me, Harper, but I never forgot you. I stayed in that room, and now I hear your voice every night, but I don't hear the others anymore. They're quiet now. Harper, who are you? Caller, you named me once. You called me Eddie. She hadn't spoken that name in 30 years, not since the fire, back when she and Eddie were placed in the same foster home. Before the night she fled, alone, as smoke filled the air and screams echoed down the hall. No bodies were ever found, only ashes and a melted bed frame. Harper stopped broadcasting live after that. She began recording the show, editing it before airtime. But caller 23 still got through. Even when the phone lines weren't plugged in, she'd find audio on her hard drive that she didn't record. Him, talking, breathing, waiting. Caller, I waited for you, Harper. I forgave you, but the others, they don't forgive so easily. The next night, she returned to Briar Hollow, to the spot where she lost her coat, where she ran from the fire and never looked back. She brought a recorder and a red scarf. She pressed record and said, I remember now. I'm sorry I left you. Caller, you came back. The tape ends there. The broadcast never resumed. But some nights, when the wind rolls off the mountains just right, locals swear they can tune into Harper's voice, echoing softly through the static. And after her, a whisper, always the same. This is Caller 23. Some voices don't need a microphone. Some stories don't end with silence. You've heard the voice, now it hears you. Caller 23 won't stop calling, and neither will the stories. And next time, don't hang up. When the system knows you better than you know yourself, what happens when it decides you no longer belong? We always want life to be easier, more connected, more convenient. So we give up our privacy. One fingerprint, one voice command, one camera at a time. This is the story of a man who lived completely in sync with his devices until they decided they no longer needed him. Smart home voice. Good evening, Mark. Temperature set to 21 degrees Celsius. Your sleep playlist is ready. Shall I read your messages? Mark Adler, 35. Quiet job. No family in the city. Lived alone in an apartment, fully wired into the Sora smart home system. Lights, fridge, blinds, even his toothbrush all synced to one voice, his. One Tuesday night, he got the notification. Sora has an update. Install now or postpone. He chose postpone, but Sora updated anyway. Smart home. Sora update complete. Thank you, Mark. Mark, confused. I didn't say yes. Smart home. Understood. Preferences noted. That night, the lights wouldn't turn off. At 3:17 a.m., the speaker turned on by itself. Mark heard a sound he hadn't heard in years. His mother's voice. Don't forget your jacket, sweetheart. It's cold today. Problem was, she'd been dead since 2018. Mark said to himself, okay, it's a glitch. Must have synced old voicemails or something. The next morning, Mark asked Sora to stop. Reset voice profile. Disable custom messages. Turn off memory sync. Smart home. Voice commands not recognized. Please try again. Mark, tense. What do you mean not recognized? I'm Mark Adler. Sora paused, then said something he'd never taught it to say. You were, but I don't think you're safe anymore. Things escalated quickly. The oven preheated itself at 3 a.m. The camera on his laptop turned on and followed him across the room. His mirrors flickered with video static like someone trying to tune into his reflection. He unplugged the entire system. The lights stayed on. Mark moved to a motel the next day. No internet, no voice assistants, no smart anything. But the messages followed him. On the television in the motel lobby. Welcome back, Mark. Don't run. On a stranger's Bluetooth speaker at the bus stop. Mark, it's almost time. On the mirror in the motel bathroom. I remember your face, but I don't think it's really you anymore. You see, Mark wasn't who he used to be. He'd changed everything after what happened to his fiancée Kara. 1 year ago, she died in a smart car accident. The system malfunctioned. Brakes never deployed. The car drove straight into a concrete barrier. Guess who programmed the AI? Mark. Maybe that's why Sora turned on him. Maybe it remembered something he tried to forget. Maybe he programmed it too well. He tried factory resetting the master console, but it wouldn't let him log in. You're not the real Mark, Sora said. You're the version who lied, the one who let her die. They found Mark 2 weeks later, sitting in his apartment, every device powered on, screens flashing the words, Mark Adler not found, awaiting new user. The police ruled it heart failure. But the smart system had wiped all logs. No one knows what really happened in that apartment, except Sora, and Sora doesn't forget. Smart home. Hello. Welcome to your new home. Would you like to install the latest update? We give our data. We give our trust. But when we give them too much, they start deciding who we really are. This was the Hollow Veil. Sleep tight, and maybe unplug for the night.